If your knee has been giving you grief for a while, but giving you grief in a very specific way of you've built a lot of strength and a lot of confidence through it, then you'll do something, a sudden change of direction or slipping in the kitchen, and it will instantly go to a 9 out of 10 pain. You might have a meniscus issue. Now, if you definitely know that you have a meniscus issue and you've clicked onto this video, honestly, you are going to be very happy that you are here, right? Because a meniscus issue is slightly different to the other ligaments of the knee. There is a few caveats to strengthening this area, right? And the meniscus, if you don't know what you're doing, is a whole different gravy, as they say in the UK. So what I'm going to cover today is why it's different, and having that level of understanding is so important, right? I'm not going to get too nerdy with the science. I'm just going to give you the basics that you need to know to then go and action some really valuable training for the next few months. Why it constantly lures people into a false sense of security and literally gets people into a right downward spiral with regards to their mental health, because you think it's all right, you think you're making improvements, then bang, back to square one. Horrendous. The strengthening of it, we're going to talk about that, and it being different to the strengthening of other ligaments in the knee. Being pain-free is not enough, as you probably already know with the meniscus. You'll have been pain-free for weeks, months, then all of a sudden, bang. Horrendous, right? But it's just important you understand the rules, and then you can action some really positive training, right? For those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces support group operator. Now I help men delete injuries and build physical body armour on a 5-phase system that I built called the Longevity Program. The first thing we need to acknowledge is mindset. This has happened. What are you going to do about it? I know it's harsh, but it's just the reality of the situation. This has happened. Blame yourself, raise your standards, and use this to upgrade your life. Because if you get through a meniscus issue and you strengthen your meniscus, you can guarantee every area of your life will be upgraded, because it's not easy. It's not an MCL that's going to help, that's going to be sorted in 6 to 8 weeks without you even having to do anything. This requires a real good training block, right? And the benefits that you're going to get from that training block are going to be outstanding, right? So the mindset shift from, I have a meniscus injury, how long am I going to be out, into a positive one that is optimistic about all the development that you're looking at if you get this right. And this video is obviously going to mention how you can get this right. So take a deep breath, smile, and lick your lips at the amount of gains that you're going to get as a result of this process, right? I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. Okay, so first thing you need to understand is the meniscus is the shock absorber of the knee. You've probably researched that on Google. So instead of thinking, build strength of the knee, right? Just always realize that the reason why it flares up is because a sudden amount of shock and a sudden amount of impact or a bit of a change in direction has happened that it wasn't ready for. So fundamentally, if the meniscus is the shock absorber, you need to strategically add shock through the knee. However, you can't just go from being injured to going to a point where you need to add shock to the knee, because unfortunately the meniscus doesn't have very good blood flow. So you do need to build a bit of a strength foundation first. I'll talk about that in a sec though. So let me just read this because I'd make sure I get everything here. Think of it like building the strength foundation. So strategically increase impact tolerance. The reason it has flare-ups when you slip in the kitchen and it goes brutally painful is because your current impact tolerance is very low. Hopefully that makes sense. So in a nutshell, you're going to have to do that by walking to run program, so building up to running, doing some basic landing and jumping drills, then building up to agility, then building up to sprinting, right? Obviously this is a process. You start here with lifting and then you progress. So nothing is too out of the ordinary, and it's all about improving your ability to absorb impact, because that's the meniscus's job. By understanding what the meniscus's job is, you can actually think, okay, how am I going to progress my meniscus's ability to absorb this impact. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so this is the reason why it's so demoralizing and so confusing. It's because you can go weeks without any issues, and like I've said there, bam, 7 out of 10 pain, your knee locks, it doesn't fully extend, right? And this is because of sudden changes in balance, sudden changes in stability and impact. So for example, if I told you now to stand on one leg and twist, you'd be like, cheers mate, absolutely fucking no chance, just because you haven't built up that tolerance. Now you might have done stuff in the gym, you might have developed your strength through leg extensions, leg curls, RDLs, squats, leg presses, single leg Bulgarian split squats, all of this stuff, right? You might have developed strength, which builds your confidence, and you're like, oh my God, my knee's in a great place. However, what you haven't done is you haven't done a little bit of this. You haven't started developing your stability and your impact, your balance. And what I say with this, right, is very important that you understand what I'm about to say. Don't overdo this, because the fitness industry has a very is very prone to enter in these realms, balance, stability, and impact too soon. Or these are basically the exercises that look good, right? And exercises that look good, people tend to do too much. Do the boring stuff, do your lifting for a few months, and then we're going to introduce this, right? Like I said before, walk to run. Running is balance, it's stability, it's impact to a low level, and just build yourself up to that, right? But it's clearly annoying, and I've had clients with meniscus issues for the past couple of years, and it's a demoralising issue. But just having that mindset of, the only reason my meniscus flares up is because it wasn't ready for the impact in which I just put it. It's not a strength issue, right? So the mentality changes. This is now an impact mission. It's improving the amount of impact in which my knee can take. And that's a great goal, by the way, because everybody's goal should be this anyway. Gaining capacity, increasing your strength of your joints. This is the mission of that. This should be everybody's mission with regards to improving their physical body armor, improving their ability to cope with demands with less of the adverse effects. You're getting that mission for free, but you've just been forced into this door, which is, I think you should be counting your lucky stars, because this could be a very simple fix, right? And it is a simple fix, but the gains that you get from this is tremendous, right? And one of the reasons why you will gain a lot of strength and gain a lot of confidence is because the gym exercises, let's say you're on your machines and stuff in the gym and you're doing Smith machine or you're doing squats, there's not really much requirement for stability on all of these movements. There's not really that much requirement for high amount of impact or changes in direction, right? So the strength work is important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Make sure you do at least 3 months of good quality strength work before you even think about introducing impact, right? Because the knee needs to have that foundation in place first, so that it's just not crazy amounts of demands. You need to increase your body's ability to cope with the demands, right? So, and this is why you could go years. You could go years, and I swear to God, comment below if you are one of them people. You could go years of in the gym, training your legs, doing good work, and then all of a sudden, and then you think, fucking hell, my knee's fucked. Listen, it's not fucked, you're just missing the final piece of the puzzle, right? So this is important because the strength work will reduce your body's perception of the amount of impact that happens. Hopefully that makes sense. The stronger you are, impact appears less on the body. So, as you can probably imagine, I absolutely love this shit, right? Hopefully you love it too. Whether you've got a knee injury, not elbow, shoulder, lower back, I don't care. If you do jiu-jitsu and you want to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life, subscribe to my channel, because I absolutely love this stuff, and my passion should improve your confidence and enthusiasm for making these changes and developing your longevity within this martial art. Meniscus strengthening. To strengthen, you must understand how it is nourished. I need you to forget everything you think you know about inflammation and blood flow for the next 3 minutes, right? When your knee is inflamed, that is not necessarily bad. right? That is golden rule. Inside tears on the meniscus, whether you've had an MRI scan or not, inside tears are nourished from synovial fluid, right? So that is, in the science nerdy world, this is called cyclical movements. Repetitive, low range of motion movements will nourish the inside of the meniscus. So if you don't know whether you've got a tear on the inside or the outside of the meniscus, just do both of these. Just act like you have a tear in both. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as you have a meniscus injury and you're like, fuck, this is literally feels like a meniscus injury, the first thing you want to be doing is getting yourself on a bike. Not on an actual bike, on a CV bike, because getting on and off the bike is just a drama. So get yourself in a gym and get your legs spinning on a CV bike. Adjust the seat height depending on the range of motion of the knee that you can currently tolerate. Outside tears have very limited... Listen, I just need to emphasize this one more time. There is no blood flow on the inside of your meniscus. The only way you get the inside part of your meniscus stronger is through synovial fluid improvement, right? That's why you have to do these two, or one of them, whichever you prefer, whichever feels good. And you have to do a lot of them. So with backwards walking, you can't really do backwards walking for 45 minutes. You just walk into trees and fall over bins and fall over and down ditches, right? That's why cycling's absolutely fantastic. However, the backwards walking does come into it with sled pulls, where you can start to load it a little bit more. However, it doesn't really matter too much about that, because a cycle, you can just increase the resistance on the cycling CV bike and get some great synovial fluid generation there, which is going to nourish that inside, right? So you've got two options there, inside tears. Outside tears have very limited blood flow. However, they are nourished with the tiny blood vessels and capillaries that are on the outside of the knee. So how do we do that? We strength train, right? And strength training is anything from, depending on where your current level of strength is, it's anything on that scale, right? Lifting heavy weights, leg presses, squats, deadlifts, all of this stuff, right? But also progressing into walk to run program, hill running, hill sprints, jumping, landing, agility, plyometrics. All of this stuff goes into that bracket, right? And all of that stuff will increase the blood flow, and it will increase the swelling a little bit as well. It might actually make it a little bit tender and a little bit sore the next day, just like you would actually aim for when you are training your chest. Don't panic when there's a little bit of information in an area in which you've just strategically tried to actually develop, because that's the goal. It's easy to forget that, especially in these areas of concern. So there is caveats to the meniscus, right? Typically with other ligaments in the knee, I will have people entering end ranges of motion as soon as they can, from a symptomatic standpoint. If they can, pain-free, I will get them doing that the same day, right? However, with the meniscus, avoid end ranges, do box squats, do deadlifts, really good options. Think about it, right? If you're furious that you can't go all the way down in a squat, okay, let's have a deadlift focused training block. Because deadlift is not full range of motion at the knee, it's about 90 degrees. So you can have a great training block of the deadlift while you're in meniscus development mode, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? So the main difference, like from the other parts of your knee, is the requirement to avoid the end ranges early on. Like only go to 90 degrees, right? And you'll be absolutely fine to get some good money in the bank to then progress it into your walk to run, to progress it into sprinting, landing, jumping, plyometrics, changing direction. If you have any other knee issues, by the way, you just absolutely love the crack that I'm talking about here, the first link in the description, I'm going to post a knee strength system, which will take you from white belt, basic, all the way down to black belt in the goal to strengthen your knee, if it's anything other than a meniscus. However, if you have got a meniscus issue, then don't do that. However, I actually send me videos on Instagram as well if you want to be considered worthy for promotion. And I will promote you. If you do the techniques perfect and you are pain-free when you are doing these movements, I will give you your blue belt. I will give you your purple belt in your knee strength. So something for you to think about if you would benefit from that. The rest of the knee, for fixing issues excluding the meniscus, like I said there, first link in the description, right? Knee strengthening system to improve your physical robustness. If you don't understand how this works, if you're one of them blokes that think the knee is a very complex joint, I just need you to understand that the knee only moves two ways, extends and flexes. It's the same as your elbow. If you understand how to strengthen your knee, you in turn, as a byproduct of that, understand how to strengthen your elbow. These are two very common issues in the grappling world, right? If you do have a meniscus issue, and what I'm mentioning here, like obviously I know what to do, right? I work with people that have these issues on a one-to-one basis. If you are a bit overwhelmed by the information that I am telling you, and you just want me to coach you through this process, build everything out for you, and walk the path with you, then the second link in the description is for my one-to-one coaching. Okay, if you want to strengthen it yourself and you're happy to do it all at your own pace, then rule number one, don't be scared. You have got this, right? And you know, I say don't be scared, and specifically what I mean by don't be scared of training an area that is injured, right? It might hurt a little, but you're going to have laser focus when you're doing squats with an injured knee. You're not going to be stupid. You're not going to take painkillers. You're not going to take anti-inflammatories to numb the area. You're going to be so focused. And whenever you are that focused on the development of an area, the gains are way more than when you're just chilling out, winging it, not really having any care. So that level of it's gold dust, right? However, let's have a look at this, right? So personal standards, rules, the rules in which you need to live by to get over this. Your movements in the gym should never exceed a 4 out of 10 for knee pain, right? So that gives you now confidence. Okay, Greeny said I don't need to go beyond a 4 out of 10. By having this rule in place, you will go in the gym and you will do a lot of movements, and muscular, you will feel loads of pain because you develop the strength of your muscles. However, the actual meniscus, you'll be like, you will know when to put the brakes on it. And trust me, this little fucking creature, that survival part of your brain, is going to say to you, don't do anything. But by having this in place, you will do a lot more than you thought you could. Trust me when I say this. Rule number 2, avoid full range of motion for 3 months. Rule number 3, stick to a plan that trains your legs hard 1 to 3 times per week. Previous version of you may have avoided training your legs altogether because you were scared. You've got this rule in place. You're going to be safe. You are going to be fine. Trust me. When I say stick to a plan, don't change your plan every week. Don't look at an exercise and think, oh, that looks nice. No. 5 exercises. Just do it well and stick to it 1 to 3 times a week. Honestly, your knees will be absolutely sound. Rule number 4, don't think gear rehab, think strengthening. Think building your grappling armour. Rule number 5, eat a high carb, nutrient dense meal plan. Same as your training program. Don't change this every day. If you want consistent energy, consistent recovery, take this shit seriously, right? Rule number 6, sleep like a baby. You want to maximize your energy. You want to maximize your recovery. You want to maximize your performance. By doing all of that, you're going to develop more by going through this process than you probably ever developed in your life. And this is what I love about injuries, is because the injury is the door to the transformation of your life. Only if you want to walk through that door, though. So, strengthening yourself, pain-free is obviously not enough with the meniscus, because 9 out of 10 days it will be pain-free. And then, no, probably more than that. It will be pain-free for 9 weeks on the bounce. And then one movement 3 months down the line will just cause it brutal pain, right? And this is where I get serious with you. If your sport includes changes in force, changes in direction, through the knee, changes in the amount of body weight that goes through your knee, do not return to your sport when it's pain-free. That might be a bitter pill to swallow, right? But you need to build yourself up properly, because sometimes in jiu-jitsu, we don't have full control over the situation. I don't care if you're a black belt. I don't care if you're a 7-stripe black belt. You do not have full control over all the variables, and we do in the gym. That's why the gym should be used for development, and the mats should be used for expression and skill development. So, lift heavy weights, walk to run program to add in the impact, low level impact. Keep lifting, introduce low level jumping and landing drills. Keep lifting, introduce sprinting, intermediate jumping and landing drills. Keep lifting, introduce changes in direction. Keep lifting, introduce advanced jumping and landing drills. Right, let's assume a few things, right? Each one of these takes you 1 month. So 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, that's 6 months in total. I know you're probably fucking shitting yourself and down in the dumps about this, because the psychology that surrounds injuries is absolutely brutal, right? And you're probably thinking 6 months of no jiu-jitsu. Listen, how much development are you going to get from doing all this? When was the last time you took your physical development this seriously? The habits that you will build by doing all this, they're not just going to go away after 6 months. They will absolutely transform your life. But they will only transform your life if you get your head out the sand and approach this like a fucking boss. Everything happens for a reason. And if you can get through a meniscus injury, honestly, your life is going to fucking transform. Another thing I love about the meniscus is that you can't cut corners with it. You can't take peptides, you can't take TRT. It literally holds no prisoners. The only way you get through a meniscus injury is improving your character, improving the rules in which you live by every day. And that's why it sticks with people for so long, because they are not willing to change who they are in order to get themselves through this. Take full ownership of this situation, right? Because that 6 month process, it's gonna properly have you living and breathing that 2.0 version of yourself. Optimistic, confident. You got this, gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.